that I think is really cool. And so I wanted to bring these awesome people to you. So today we have Tammy here.
Hey,
So,
JP.
so
I think
Tammy,
we've done this before.
so
Having deja vu.
so tell me, Tammy, what brings you to want to have your studio and your beautiful bowls and all that you do? What is it that motivates you to have this passion?
Oh, people. In my own experience, you know, I think that when I started really wanting to open a space for others to come is because when I'm going to tell you a story. So when I was in my 30s and I felt like I was going through depression, and I didn't know why, because if you looked at my life, it looked awesome, you know, I had kids and married and everything that, all my basic needs were met, like above and beyond. I was full of abundance, I had good friends, and, but there was something deep inside of me that was not feeling, it was dying, you know. And so I went to the doctor and he handed me a prescription for pills for depression. And I went home and I looked at and I'm like, this isn't what I wanted. I wanted someone to hear what was going on inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the day then a friend of mine called and said, there was a dream circle happening, did I want to go? And I was like, yes. And so that's what started me on this path. And so I've learned just unraveling. Had so many teachers that I feel like each teacher that I've had, I've taken some part of that and turned it into my own teaching or my own ability to create a sacred space.
Oh, yeah.
And so I call this a sacred space, and for people to come, and if they want to cry, if people cry, people come here and cry a lot actually, and I let people cry because I have Kleenex out because usually they haven't been allowed to cry. If we cry out in the world, usually people either turn away or they want to take it away. They want to hug us and take it away. And sometimes we just need to
Feel
cry to feel it. Because once we feel it and release it, then we can move and see. I know we've talked before about this. Then we can move the energy and see where that came from, that deep sorrow, if it's loneliness, insecurity, you know, all those things that we talk about, the fear, the limitation of the self.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's been so that's my intention for this space, is for people to totally be able to come and have those deep conversations, or to look at themselves a little bit deeper, or to feel in a space they are safe.
Mm-hmm. And it feels that here. I really like it. The energy is awesome.
So I like sharing this space.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. And so I always wanted someone to talk to me about those things.
And so that's what you have here then. You
Yeah.
create that comfort in a safe place for people to be able to come and then and to explore who they are with your beautiful nurturing and ways.
The heart. I want it to all be heart-based. Like our heart is what makes it. I feel like love is the highest vibration of our planet. And so that when we can become closer to love, then we can move away from those limitations that we put on ourselves.
Well, yeah, and I could see how this, through movement, so much of yours is around movement and body, and being able to then and it promotes and encourages then one to be more connective then with their mind, versus like counseling and sitting down and talking to someone, and to be able to hear and talk, you know, and here it's more of a way for one to be able to get in touch with those.
I call that experiential.
Uh-huh.
So so, and when we do the breath workshops here, the music,
There, yeah.
is on it instead of like when you go to talk therapy, which oh my gosh, it has so much value in our world. So there's absolutely, I find value in it, but it's a limited time, and the psyche begins to know how to manipulate. So if it really doesn't want to feel it, the ego can keep it safe.
Uh-huh.
And so when you come through breath work, you're having an altered state of a consciousness, and you're moving beyond the ordinary thinking mind, and so you will have an experience that the psyche is ready for, ready to look at and to heal, and so it becomes experiential.
Yes. Well, and as you
and
just...
so the body can move it out then.
Right.
Because the mind can be a tricky place to be.
Oh, yes, it can. And it can also be a joyous, pleasurable
Yes, it
place
can.
to be.
Absolutely.
And that's
Because we can create anything through our mind.
And
But it can be imprinted too in
I-
ways that we're unaware.
Well, and I think what you just gave was a great example in what the tools that you offer here with all of your skill and brilliance and enlightenment is, is that, are those other three elements, like in the immersibles that I was speaking
Mhm.
toward of Munita, is that one needs to have, as you just described, and to be going to have that healing processes, and all those modalities lead to one to have more clarity and comfort within oneself, that then allows for, as I had spoken to, is the outward seeing and celebrating others' successes and joys.
Yeah, yeah. So creating a space to be able to see a little bit deeper into somebody.
That's so cool. Thanks for having this, Tammy. I
Thank
really
you.
like this.
Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that story. It's so cool, and that how now I know more about that. And
Yeah, and it actually wasn't like my first encounter with like a spiritual path or a way of the initiate of the human experience, but because I think I had it when I was really little too, a few times, different times, with a near-death experience, and then through the way that I used to play, when I was really little. I used to eat herbs and sell rocks instead of Kool-Aid.
I remember that. I know, and our 45 years ago, thinking about that.
So I was always a little bit close to those gifts of the earth, maybe, I don't know, of something more. I think when you have a near-death experience, when we talk about experiential, it gave me the experience of being out of body and knowing that there was something else that's happening besides this lifetime.
Oh, yes.
And when you have that window open to you and an experience, whoa, that's where I think a lot of my intuitive gifts come from.
Oh, yeah.
And my ability to communicate with people sometimes from the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Or to feel guides and channels and all that stuff, because it's I experienced that as a young child, and when that experience of death was not what you would think it would be. It was not that I think I still have a fear of death, because I don't really want to die yet, but I'm not afraid of it in a way that it's going to be a place to fear, because it was pure love, pure light and pure love, something you can't even describe. And then when I was sent back here, I was already in a sick body, so I felt a little bit neglected, rejected, from coming from such a high vibrational place and back into this. My body was really sick. I had meningitis, so it was really traumatic for my body.
Right, well, yeah, so going through, that experience then and coming back into it gave you a new insights to how to redirect yourself, and that's how you have ended up here. And it's what's really interesting that I think is how you and I have continued our relationships through all these years. And when you think about the associations that I was mentioning there earlier in our conversations, is that how you have a feeling about somebody. And so you and I, when we were 12 years old, hanging out, and us now hanging out now, it was a feeling of something back then that was really special. And since then we've gone through so much.
Yeah.
And then that it's just an essence of who you and I are as human beings, and I'm so fortunate you and I are to be able to have had experiences to put us in a place to be able to experience, the joy
Yeah.
and pleasure that life has
Yeah.
to offer.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Thank you.